Important information and everything that you need to know about this channel right now. First of all, we're going into our 13th year on YouTube. It has been a while. I've been settling in a new country for the past few years. It's been a challenge, but things are starting to clear up. There's a last chance to sign up for the Patreon at the $1 tier to lock in that cheapest price for everything forever. After a little bit from now, that price is going to be going up unless you are already at the $1 tier. If you're at the $1 tier, there'll be no price increase, so last chance for that. There's going to be more list videos coming up throughout this year, but also 2024 had the most list videos I've ever created in a single year. I think it's about 40, maybe 50, covering about 500 games, so it's more than I've ever covered ever before. If you haven't heard, live streams are happening on the second channel. That's generally linked on the channel page, GamerZakh Extra Life or GamerZakh XL. That's where live streams are happening. Besides them already being on Twitch, if you want to watch live streams on YouTube, there is the second channel for that. And question for you, do you like city building? Because we've got a lot more city building coming up, particularly this year. So, just in general, going over everything that I've just mentioned, but in more detail, this is indeed my 13th year as a content creator. I've been saying about a decade or about 10 years for a while now, and I just recently went back to check. Where am I now? 11, 12 years? No, it's the 13th year. Lucky number 13. And this is... It feels weird because over that 13 years, I mean, even before longer than 13 years ago, I was watching YouTube prominently since about 2009. It's kind of a weird feeling that I'm still going and I'm still making things in a consistent fashion because so many of the channels that inspired me to start or just were big at the time when I started no longer exist, or they're just not going anymore. And it's sort of weird to see that there are some massive channels that are part of the reason why I'm doing this in the first place, and they still have like millions of subscribers on the channel, but if you check their monthly view counts, it's actually a quarter of what I'm getting, and that's weird, right? They're much more famous, they're much more established, and you know, they're part of the reason why I'm doing this in the first place, but they either moved on to other things or just petered out or just are on a break or they just retired. And their channels are still there, but it's sort of a weird feeling. 13 years. Lots happens in 13 years, but oh, that's what it is. But also, if you didn't know, for the past 3 to 4 years, I have been basically moving across the world, not in a constant travel geographically, but moving country is a huge headache and a lengthy process, and it takes a long time for things to just settle down, you know, paying your new income taxes and getting that system on while you're waning off the old one in your old country. Even things like that, it takes time for the finances to catch up, for the schedules to realign. So for those of you who don't know, I'm from Malaysia. In the past few years, I've moved to the UK, and it's been a journey. It's been very, very stressful at times, and I'm just about getting to that point where things are like set, you know? It's like when you're trying to set a jelly in a mold, and you like open the fridge and you wiggle it, and it's like, no, it's still too liquid. It sort of felt like that for the last 3 years, where you jiggle the mold and it's like, you can tell it's not set. It's just still water. But right about now, I'm jiggling the mold and it's looking a little wobbly. It's like, oh, okay, things are settling down. And that's what it feels like right now, where it's not quite fully set, but we're approaching serving time. So that has been a journey with visas, with finances, with just getting into the industry and new country, meeting new people, talking to new people, networking, going to events which never used to exist. Even changing your AdSense account from one country to another, because you can't just change a country. You have to sign up with all new tax forms, dealing with taxes, not just income tax in a new country, but also, withholding taxes are different. It was a lot. I've learned so much, more than I should tell you right now. It's just so boring and extensive and useful, but not the most exciting of things. But I've learned so much and I've done so much. And the problem with dealing with these official things is that you do so much stuff, but you don't always have anything to show for it. It's like, oh, excuse me. You spent months working on setting up all the new taxes and forms and everything. And you don't really have anything to show for it. There's no impressive video. There's no stat counter. There's no achievement. You just don't get fined. You just do all that stuff to not be punished for not doing that stuff. And so you don't really have the satisfaction. But it has to be done, and I managed to do it. So that's good. If you have any questions, I can try answer if you leave them in the comments down below about any of that official stuff. In other news, if you didn't hear, we recently completely overhauled the Patreon. There's exclusive Let's Play series going on there because Let's Plays don't quite work on YouTube anymore. As a fundamental kind of format, it doesn't work. Like at a base level, it doesn't work. So the Patreon, right now, right this second, there is a $1 tier. You can sign up for that and get access to all the videos, everything. And if you stay at the $1 tier, it'll be $1 forever. As long as it's in my control, it'll be $1 forever, the cheapest I can give. And that's like an unheard of price these days for Patreon for exclusive Let's Play series and everything. So that price will be going up to $3, but only for new joins. If you are already at the $1 tier, then you stay at $1, no price increase. So that's as a thank you for the early and continued support, and just thank you so much for considering that. Besides that, the Patreon does also have, in the collections page, there's a free video section. They're public, you don't have to sign up for anything. The free video section, you can watch that stuff. Those are videos that just can't be on YouTube. For reasons, they can't be on YouTube, so they're on Patreon instead. And they're free, they're public. You can just watch them at your leisure. So that's going to be ongoing. And if you have any questions about why Let's Plays don't work or anything like that, you can ask me as well. There's a lot to go into. They just generally tank any channel you do them on. Besides some specific exceptions, they don't work. So this is a way to do that. And for example, I've been running a SimCity 2000 Let's Play on the Patreon, so you can enjoy that right now. Besides that, list videos. Oof. So before 2024, or rather the end of 2023, when I started making the list videos for 2024, I had a specific work process for making the list videos. And I was, for a long time, because I've been making those for 11 years now. For a long time, I was trying to figure out how do I make more of them without hurting myself, because I'm a one-person operation in terms of editing and creating the content, and making a list video is a lot of work. So doing more than 6 to 12 of them in a year was very difficult, very taxing. So in 2024, or for 2024, I managed to figure out a slightly looser way of making the videos, and with the experience of the past decade of making list videos, it allowed me to churn out the list videos much faster. So we did like 40 to 50 list videos in the past year, since about October 2023. 40 to 50, I think it is. Check the playlist. And that has been much more beneficial for the channel and for you because it covers so much more content. And the quality only had to go down a little bit. It went down like 5% down in quality, but for like 800% more content. Is it 6, 12, 18, 24, 32, 38? Yeah, about 7 to 8 times more content at a 5% decrease in quality, and I think that's definitely worth it. So over the last year, done so many list videos, and more coming for 2025. But I'm gonna try focus the channel a little bit more going forward, and I will get into that in a little bit. Also, again, if you haven't heard, live streams are ongoing on Twitch. I don't really have a schedule. It's just whenever it works. I'm gonna try do more, but hard to promise that. Live streams are much more complicated because my life is hectic, my life is crazy. Things are happening all the time. I can't predict what's happening, so I live stream when I can, but in the past year I started multi-streaming. There's live streaming onto Twitch and live streaming onto YouTube, but to not mess with the main channel's algorithm, the live streams on YouTube are going on the second channel, which is GamerZakh XL, which stands for Extra Life, because I got a video demonetized and a community guideline strike in the past year. So I figured I should set up a respawn point just in case. And I got that second channel running, and it's just safe to just throw whatever onto that channel. And that's why when I live stream, I also live stream onto that channel. So you can subscribe there if you want to catch the live streams. And then, talking about going forward into 2025, city building. Now, I have been, admittedly, a little wishy-washy with the direction of the content on this channel since its inception. Since the beginning, it's been a bit everywhere. I started the channel with a Let's Play of From Dust, then I did a Caesar 3 playthrough, then I did a Morrowind playthrough, then I was doing Salem, the crafting MMO, and I did Guild Wars 2 for a while, you know, so I was doing like God games, simulations, city building, first-person RPGs, nostalgic content. I did a Botanicula puzzle game playthrough. I did MMO playthroughs, 2 very different MMOs. Like, there was no real direction at the start, and variety channel was the thing at the time, but that's never been what really worked. This channel sort of somehow took off anyway, because some content blows up, some content doesn't, but that leads to videos looking very inconsistent. There's like one video with 300,000 views, the next video has 3,000 views, and it's clear that there's more popular content than others, and I never really committed to, like, full-on committed to a proper direction, and that is something I want to go for a little bit more, particularly onto city building in a specific way, moving forward. So, whenever it comes to setting goals, they always say, oh, shoot for the stars, so if you fail, you still land on the moon, sort of thing. So I'm gonna go a little bit more reasonable with that shooting. Shooting for Mars, and maybe landing on the moon. So for 2025, I have a number of, quote, crazy goals. So, first one in terms of viewership, just the amount of people viewing. Not that view count is particularly important, but view count is an indicator of I'm making stuff that you are actually wanting to watch. Even if you don't watch the whole thing, it's something that you want to pop into, enjoy some of it, and then pop off. Not every type of video is meant to be watched 100% all the way through. Sometimes you upload a 2-hour video. If you provide half hour of entertainment, that's a success. That's a good thing. That's something I want to provide. But if you're not clicking on the video at all, then it's just making content that you don't want, right? You're not even interested in clicking on it. You know you don't want that, right? So I want to try avoid that as much as possible and make things that you actually want to see. So in terms of viewership goals for 2025, I want to aim for 12 million views total for the year. That sounds crazy, 1 million views a month, but it's not consistent throughout the year. You're not going to get an even 1 million, 1 million, 1 million. It'll be like 2 million, 1.5 million, 700,000, that sort of thing, right? And for 2024, the channel got 9 million views. So that's a 3 million view increase, which is crazy, right? It's a big jump. But it's what I'm going to target, right? If we get 10 million views, sure. At least we got an increase. Now, in terms of subscribers, this might actually be even crazier. I want to hit 250,000 subscribers. And I know I've said in the past that I don't want to have subscriber goals. They don't mean all that much, but sometimes the system, the platforms, and the world associate a value to a subscriber number. And there's not really any functional difference between 100,000 subscribers and 250,000 subscribers. It doesn't really change much, except for people's expectations, how people view you. It's just a status symbol. And because it's a status symbol, it affects how you're viewed in the industry. And 250,000 subscribers is where the industry sort of marks you as, oh, 250,000, you're proper, right? You're like approaching the big leagues kind of thing. And it's not in the big leagues, like that sort of starts at least 500,000, but you're on the board kind of thing. And there are milestones where people start to view you differently. I've been through this. When you cross 10,000 subscribers, people view you differently. When you cross about 50,000, people see you slightly differently. When you cross 100,000, people view you very differently. But from 100,000, people don't really look at you all that different until about 250,000, right? And that's when people sort of see you as the next tier, even though raw subscriber count doesn't really matter all that much. But to hit 250,000, I'm short by 38,000 subscribers. Now, the reason why this is a big challenge is because in 2024, we got 15,000 subscriber gain, which is good. It's very good. 15,000 subscribers in a year, that's good, right? But to go from 15,000 in a year to 38,000 in a year, that's more than double. That's going to be a challenge, right? And we're going to have actions, plans to achieve these goals, and at least attempt those plans, commit to those plans, execute the plans, and if they work or don't work, we can use that data to fix it for next year. That's what we're going to do. So that's the second goal. First is 12 million views. Next is 250,000 subscribers. Third goal for the year, building an active community on Patreon. And this isn't just getting people to subscribe to the Patreon, because you can actually follow for free on Patreon. And just having people there for the free content and free posts that are just public, and having that be a mini community, that is just much more interesting, and it's much more fulfilling. And it's very difficult to make content when there's no one there, but then it's very difficult to get people there when there's no content. So it's sort of a, rock and a hard place kind of situation. But we've been creating a lot of content on Patreon, getting a decent amount of people signed up and for free. And it's starting to feel like, oh, there's a bit of a community there. And in 2024, it's hard to put a specific number on that. But if there's about 1,000 people who are loosely hanging around the Patreon, then that feels like it's gonna be a little bit of a community. And a community doesn't just mean I post something, you like it or you watch it. A community means you all can interact with each other. And that's difficult when there's not enough people, because you can say something and then there's no one around to comment besides me. And that's not a community. But so I want to have a bit of a community there. The Discord has been going very, very well. I'm very happy that a lot of people are finding the Discord useful and engaging with each other and talking to each other and actually having conversations and learning things and teaching things. It's very interesting there. And I want that and one more place, because you don't want to have all your eggs in one basket. YouTube's pretty good. Discord's good. Twitch, it's good when I'm live. Patreon would be a nice, another perpetually online platform to have things happening. So that's the third goal, building a community on Patreon. And the fourth goal is hitting a monetary target, where it's just, right now, I need sponsors to bridge gaps, and that's always risky and unnerving, and it's tricky. So the Patreon growth right now, the boost for Patreon right now, is to help reach this fourth goal, which is to get $1,000 a month on Patreon. And I know that's a lot. That's a lot. And that's why I wanted to try provide the most value for the least amount of money I can, make it worthwhile for you. And as a big thank you to you as well for the support. And 1,000 a month on Patreon will be sort of the point where I can get by without a sponsor in a month, right? And that is very, very important for the freedom of the content. And so I don't have to take a sponsor if I don't want to. Like sometimes when it's like rent is due and a sponsor comes in and it's like, well, you know, I do turn down a lot of sponsors because they're just not appropriate. But there's sometimes when it's like, oh, this sponsor comes in, I want to take the sponsor, but also it feels like I have to take the sponsorship. And it's like, well, it skews the objectivity, right? And it's like, I want to be able to take the sponsorship because I want to, not because I have to. And that means we have to grow other forms of monetization. The higher view count on YouTube will help with that as well. The Patreon is sort of a more stable source, and it's all thanks to you either way, so thank you so much. Whichever way that you choose to support, it is very, very muchly appreciated. Now, in terms of achieving these goals, it's going to be something I have to commit to. So for the views, goal 1, the view count. One thing I can try work on, which has been working very well recently, and I've sort of clocked into it because of its success, perpetual city building videos. So the overarching plan is focus on city building a lot more. Perpetual city building videos sort of came from the idea of when I made the best ever, the best and greatest city builders ever, right? That list. That list is going to be relevant for a very, very long time, and people will be watching that ages from now. And it blew up quite nicely, and it's continuing to get solid views. And I feel like if I can get a good collection of those, like 20 or 30 of them, then that is going to create a much more solid baseline of viewerships, these perpetual city building videos. Second, for the subs, one thing about gaining subscribers on YouTube is that people subscribe when they know exactly what they're going to get from the channel. And if the content is all over the place, people are reluctant to subscribe because I want to watch that video, but I don't want to watch that video, so maybe I won't subscribe. So not so much limiting the topics, but focusing the topics to a specific city building audience will encourage more people to subscribe. So, for example, outside of list videos, which I will probably more prioritize city building, 4X, RTS, those kinds of things, with games with buildings and genres with buildings in them. But generally, I'm thinking 10 out of the most recent 12 videos should be for the same audience. There's room for experiments, there's rooms for off-topic or trials or maybe something a little off from building, but 10 of the 12 most recent videos on the channel should be for the city building audience. Even if it's something different, like I was looking at Morrowind mods recently, and there's a mod which says that you can build your own settlement in Morrowind in real time, kind of like how you do in Fallout 4, but there's a mod that does that in Morrowind now. So I could maybe make a video on that as a Morrowind colony city builder kind of video. And it's still a Morrowind video, but it's still a city building video as well. So that sort of focuses my desire to do a nostalgic game that I really love, Morrowind, but to fit it with the target audience. And I think that will keep a lot more people happy and encourage more people to subscribe because they'll look at the recent videos and be like, oh yeah, I want to watch most of these things, I'll subscribe. And also, just asking people to subscribe. In my most recent list video about city building games for 2025, the top 12 that I wanted to list, towards the end of the video, I just asked people to subscribe. Like, if you want more city building, subscribe. And the ratio of subscribers to view count is like 20 to 30% higher than my other list videos. Of similar list videos of city building, by just asking people to subscribe, it went up by like 20 to 30%. So focusing the topic around building and asking people to subscribe, I think is a pretty good plan to boost subscriber count. Whether it'll more than double in the year, but we can at least attempt that action plan and then see how it works and then adjust from there. Now, the third goal for the Patreon community, I'm planning to do at least one public post per 2 weeks. Now, these public posts could be updates or content or a free video or something. There's a number of free videos I put up recently on Patreon, and this is just to grow the Patreon community, whether you're paid or free. And one public post per 2 weeks sounds like, you know, something to just keep you, give you more value there as well, right? And for the Patreon money goal, there's the $1 legacy price, which you can get right now. And I'm planning to do one video per week, one exclusive video per week on Patreon. So for the $1 a month, you get 4 videos for the month. And those will be Let's Plays or anything else that comes up. And that's going to be a lot of content. We've been doing 2 Let's Plays over the past couple of months, SimCity 2000 and the Path of Exile short run, just to learn Path of Exile. And that's city building and something completely different and things that would not generally work on YouTube. So hopefully you're enjoying those so far. And that's what we're doing. So going over all the things we've been over, 13th year on YouTube, settling into a new country, the Patreon overhaul. We did the most list videos in a year, and I'm going to keep doing that. Live streams on the second channel. And for focusing up with our goals, the 4 goals for 2025, 12 million views in a year, 250,000 subscribers, building an active community on Patreon, and trying to hit $1,000 a month on Patreon by building perpetual city building videos, focusing topics, public posts on Patreon, and the exclusive Let's Plays. Oh, so that's everything you need to know about the channel moving forward into 2025. I hope you found this interesting. I usually do a New Year's vlog just to catch everyone up and, you know, just communicate intentions and plans and stuff, but I'm always open to suggestions and ideas and questions. If you have any questions, Q&A in the comments down below. Whenever you watch this, I see new comments whenever new comments come in, so if you have any questions, just post them down below and I'll get back to you. If I have an answer. If I don't have an answer, I'll probably tell you I don't have an answer, but you can ask questions down below. And thank you so much for watching. And I'll see you in the next video. There's going to be much more city building on the way and some things that you have really been asking me to do. I'm going to do those things as well. And I'll see you through 2025.